do this, all the teachers, we do this all the time. And that's why we are innovators. What we have up next is really something I have been struggling with, trying to find a balance between what I must do as per the learning goals that the department has assigned to me versus, what I should do because I have students in front of me who have these varied problems, and the topic of teacher agency, it's not a new topic, but it's extremely important. You cannot design think if you don't feel the freedom to design think. And that's where Professor Hassan, he's a great writer. He is an educator. He's been a principal. He's a leader. He's done a lot of such encouragement. He's done a lot of work in terms of encouraging his teachers at his school to think differently, to implement those changes in their classrooms. Dr. Hassan, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Am I audible to each and everyone? Okay, thank you so much. I am really, really honored and very delighted to be present here, though I was a bit late. And in fact, this is the time in our country, a bit busy time. And this is the only day when we need to pass few moments with the family and some other social works. That's why I was a bit late. So please, I must apologize. So never mind for me. And the way Manisha Kaur, she is the scholar, and the way she thinks herself and for the others, she also thinks the same to the others. I am not that much the way she explained regarding my attributes and others, but very, very thankful to the last speaker, Paula. The way she presented, that was so the fundamentals for the teachings and learning. Today, I will not speak more, but before going to my delivery, I like to share, I will take few seconds to share my screen so that everyone at a glance can know if I cannot finish within my short time. So just a few seconds, just I like to take. So if you allow me, can you please tell me, can you see my face and can you see? Hello?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
We can see.
You can see. Thank you so much. So about my interaction, the way Manisha already described, I will not go to describe again about myself. I am the professor, Dr. Mahmudul Hassan. I basically teach the teachers as well as train the teachers, and I master the teaching and pedagogical some aspects toward the teachers and educators in Bangladesh and the abroad. I do my profession in that way. So this is only shortly. So very shortly, I have chosen to say something about the autonomy in teaching and learning strategy. So what's autonomy? The autonomous. This is a very well-known word to each and everyone. University autonomous, some organizations are autonomous. So what is autonomy? Autonomy is about a person's ability to act on his or her own values and interests. A teacher, at his own interests and the values, he must be autonomous. As a learner, in his own values and interests, he or she has to be autonomous. This is about autonomy. It's a word which has come from the ancient Greek word, and that is meaning is self-legislation or self-governance. That means in the modern political thought and the bioethics often stress that individual autonomy should be promoted and respected. So if we go to see that one, what is the teacher autonomy. So our topic of the discussion is today the teacher autonomy, I mean the teaching autonomy and the learning autonomy in the strategical point of view. The teacher autonomy means the teacher autonomy, the freedom of study, learn and teach. There should not be too much interference in the work of teacher by higher authorities so that teacher may perform his duty without any fear. This is called the autonomy. According to the Richard Smith, teacher autonomy refers to the ability to develop appropriate skills, knowledge, and attitudes of oneself as a teacher in cooperation with others. This is called the teacher autonomy. The teacher autonomy, it reflects on the teacher autonomy, teacher's identity, teacher's agencies, and the context. So in the context of the teaching, the teacher identity and teacher agency is very important. So which is to be delivered in a very short way. The teacher autonomy, we basically find basic psychological need satisfaction, then work engagement, the intrinsic motivation. The last speaker, she mentioned the same thing, the motivation should be there. So teacher autonomy, it is reflected based on the motivation, individual motivation, from the authorities motivation, from the higher personalities, seniors motivation. So this is the motivation. If we go for the learner's autonomy, the learning autonomy, we can find here the learning autonomy. It means the capacity for the learner to be able to critically reflect on their language, the learning, behavior, and strategies used. I know the Manisha ko she works on this part. I mean the language, learning behavior, and strategies. Very relatively, I can say the learner or teacher is the only element and only the autonomous personality who can make and create the autonomy of the learners. That means language, behavior, a strategical point of view, and some other behavioral patterns of the learners. So learners are able to take decisions and act independently, adapting in ways that may help us to independently adapting it in the ways that may help them learn better and transfer what has learned to wider context. This is called the autonomy of the learners. So if we find the characteristics of teachers' autonomy, what are the basic characteristics of the teacher's autonomy? If we find here that self-directed professional action, so teacher, if any teacher can be self-directed professionally, he or she can take action. That means the teacher is in autonomy. Then number two, capacity for self-directed professional actions, the freedom from control over professional action, self-directed professional development, capacity for self-directed professional development, freedom from control over professional development. So these are the characteristics of teacher autonomy. Then learner autonomy. What are the learner's autonomy characteristics? You see there's a graph which I can show you here. The collaborative learning. This comes the learner confidence, learner motivation, positive independence, the learner skill, the learner independence, learner responsibility. These are the autonomy of the learners. The learner autonomy means he or she has to think, learn everything confidently, everything within his own responsibility, everything by the self-motivation, everything from the positive interdependence. The learner skill must be applied as per his own autonomy, own will. That is the learner's autonomy. The teacher's role in autonomy. How teacher can play a very beautiful role upon making the students autonomous during his or her teaching style and strategy. If we find here, you see, growing learner autonomy, I told already a bit, then in detail, I can say the learner has to be made as independent. He or she should not have any kind of the hesitation, any fear toward the teacher, nothing to be biased, nothing to be suppressed or oppressed by any teacher. Then highly developed decisions making skills. A student should have been given the right to highly develop decisions making skills should be the self-awareness. The learners should have the self-awareness which may be created or should be created by the teacher. Then collaboration. The teacher always in the classroom maintain the collaborative attitudes toward the students and the learners. The self-motivation already I told, critically reflective. So learner should have the criticality, should have the critical things to reflect himself or herself for learning something, for gathering knowledge. So this is called the teacher's role in autonomy, that means in making the students and learners in the autonomy. Then what is not teacher autonomy? We know teacher's autonomy means, it doesn't mean teacher should be dictator. Teacher should do whatever he like. It doesn't mean so at the autonomy. Autonomy is a positively we should. Earlier, before the even 15 years back also, we had the concept autonomy. This term is basically used for the political views. No, so teaching and learning autonomy, it has started from 2000. 2000 it has started about the teacher autonomy. Earlier it was that was manipulated with some other the wrong concepts regarding the autonomy of the teachers. But nowadays that concept should be removed and we should be for that one. So which one is teacher, not teacher autonomy? Which one is not meant by the teacher autonomy? First one is teacher autonomy is not an independence or isolation. Teacher autonomy cannot be explained as an exclusive psychological, technical, and political issues. Teacher autonomy is not the static entity that some people possesses and other doesn't. The teacher autonomy cannot be interpreted as as additional responsibilities given to the teacher. Teacher autonomy doesn't refer to an absolute state of freedom constraint. So this is not actually the teacher autonomy. So why teacher autonomy is important? Now we should think why teachers autonomy is very important. You see, we find here teacher autonomy is important in teaching strategy because it ensures learning environment that addresses children's drives needs. The personal and professional improvement is occurred because of teachers autonomy. Then an autonomous teacher feels personal responsibility, attends a workshop, and come up with new classroom ideas. So if teacher autonomy is there, the teacher autonomy refers to the ability to develop appropriate skills, knowledge, and attitude for oneself as a teacher in cooperation with the others. So this is called the teacher autonomy, and that is why it is needed for teacher autonomy. Then freedom to innovate, to devise appropriate methods of communication and activities relevant to the need of capabilities of the concerns of the community. Teacher autonomy, the autonomous teacher feel more confident with virtual learning and environment to be able to respond to student needs, interests, and motivation and individualize our approaches. These are the benefits, and that is why it is important so much to make the teachers autonomy. Then the forms of the teacher autonomy. How can we think that is teacher autonomy this is? There are three forms of the teacher autonomy. First one is general professional autonomy. Second one is the collegial professional autonomy. And third one is individual autonomy. The two later forms of autonomy relate to professional practices. You understand the collegial professional autonomy and individual autonomy, it always reflects to the professional practices. So if personally, individually, a teacher is autonomous, if institutionally the teacher is autonomous, then generally overall professionalism must be autonomous and must be reflected in the autonomous body. So forms of teacher autonomy we find general professional autonomy, collegial professional autonomy, individual autonomy. How? You see, if we find here the general professional autonomy refers to the surround of professional tasks based on the permission to organize the forms of teachers' tasks. Policy makers and other authorities decide. Then a collegial professional autonomy improves at the cost of professional workers. Loss of general professional autonomy involving the concept of managerial autonomy, collective freedom of teachers to take decisions and practices. Individual autonomy, individuals' chance to take decisions. Relative professional control of where and when it is required. The self-evaluations and assessment, it is also required. So if we find here, then teachers' initiative in pedagogic success in own autonomy. What are the initiatives teachers should take to establish the autonomy for the pedagogical success? Number one, we find here teachers should read a lot to be familiar with current subjects. Teacher should be able to observe himself. That the initiatives to be taken by the teacher. They should cooperate with others. It's really necessary to be open in criticism. The teacher should make notes at the end of the lessons and evaluate. Very important, very important. Teacher should make always notes at the end of the lessons and evaluate them. Then feedback by the students may be given to the teacher. So teacher's work is to take the feedbacks. How is he performing? How was the lesson? How was the delivery? How was the language? What are the behavioral patterns? What are reactions? That feedbacks should be taken from the students. The teacher's initiative should be taken like this way. So then teachers, uh, then teacher how the teacher can play a role in promoting own autonomy. কিভাবে how that teacher can play a role in promoting own autonomy. They should be given the opportunity to develop his own autonomy. Teacher should observe each other to give the feedbacks, peer observation, I mean colleague observations. The fellow colleagues observation is very required. A very careful lesson plan is required. Then one should be aware of his good and bad points of qualities. So you see, next it comes the challenges for teacher autonomy. There are some challenges you see in any schools, colleges, universities. Many challenges are there. Very frequent challenges a teacher has to face while teaching, while making the learners very conform. A lot of teaching, but no learning. Incompatible of programs with a specific group. More classroom management problems. High teacher turnovers. Recruitment of less qualified teachers. The lack of academic excellence and reliability. These are the challenges teacher is facing every day, every time. The limited space within the curriculum. Learners' lack of previous experience of autonomous learning. Lack of incentive among learners. Learners' reliance on the teacher. Limited learner contact with English outside the classroom. Very important. The teachers, they may not have the fluency, the language, explicit behavior, they may not have. That is the great challenge for the teachers. The learners focus on passing the tests. So learners focus on passing the tests. This is another challenge for the teachers in applying the autonomy in the classroom. So probably I am turning short the time. So within very short time, I will complete my the lecture. And am I audible to each and everyone? For a long time, I could not have interaction with you. My colleagues, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will take very few minutes now. I have finished my lectures, and I think you can really turn to your leisure time. So these are the challenges every teacher needs to establish the autonomy in the classroom. So that should be solved and resolved by the association of the teachers, assistant of the authorities, assistant of the students. Then success grade, you just see teacher autonomy, how it succeeds. School policy, then corruption curve, the honesty point. You understand how the teacher autonomy succeeds. If corruption is there is curve, honesty point. This should be very strongly, and the middle point is straightforward. Then definitely success must come. Then I almost finished. You are lastly the Viktor Frankl quotation is there. I have collected this one. That is, man does not simply exist, but always decide what his existence in the next, what his existence will be, what he will become the next moment. By the same token, every human being has the freedom to change any at any intent. The Viktor Frankl said. The another quotation is there. We find if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. Very important topic is there. If we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. That means every time teacher should create something newly, autonomous manners should be established, and teacher should be independent and confident to share everything. So thank you so much, the authority of this today's program and the coordinator of the today's program. I believe I tried to make you understand what is autonomy for the teachers and what is autonomy for the learners. In a word, I like to say that teachers' autonomy and learners' autonomy both together, it should be reflected in the classroom. The teacher independently and confidently can say everything to the student, and in the same way, learners can ask them and practice their studies and the questions toward the teachers without any hesitation, without any kind of the problem, without any kind of fear. Earlier, we had seen that the teacher are so rough and tough in the classroom. The learners used to be very afraid to ask the question. So that days are over. Those days are over. Now time comes. Teachers should be autonomous. Learners should be autonomous. The classroom should be well, joyful, and interactive session, collaborative session. So thank you so much. Let us establish teacher autonomy and learner autonomy in the classroom of every institution, from the schools to the university. Thank you, all of you. Thank you again. I feel delighted to deliver my speech, and I am so sorry that if I give you any hurt by taking the patience hearing regarding my board-some lectures. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mahmudul Hassan. It was very interesting to listen to your presentation. And we have a question here from Gulnara Silva. Yes. How do you change minds of teachers who don't want to change at all in terms of teaching using student-centered methodology or approach who don't want to write lesson plans. So Gulnara Eja, is it the question to the last speaker or to all the speakers?
No,
Will you
last
please?
speaker, because hello. She was talking about teacher, yes, teacher development. Yes, I understood from his presentation. That's why
Okay.
I was asking about it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. A very important question which is given to me. This is that nowadays the very relative questions in ensuring the good quality teaching and the learning. So think is that lesson plan, definitely. The lesson plan, this should be made by the teachers for the very easy and understandable lecture to the students. The lesson plan should not be formatted by the authority, by the head of the institution. The teacher should have the autonomy, should have the independence. There should be no interference given by the head of the institution or any coordinator of the teachers. Rather, teacher topic will be given and teacher will prepare the lesson plan for his own comprehension, own delivery, very good delivery, and learners will have the option to ask the question to the teacher very confidently, so that based on the lesson topic lesson, delivery will be given and teacher can change the lesson plans or whatever he or she made in the lesson plan based on the learner's question, based on the learner's query. So it is always changeable. Nothing should be strictly followed as per the lesson plan. Thank you so much. Probably I could make it clear.